Welcome to my show. This is Olio, and my name is Susan Rushton. And before we go any further, I need to explain what Olio means. Olio is short for olla podrida, which is Spanish for rotten bowl, or rotten pot, which I just get such a kick out of. It is a Spanish-Portuguese dish with essentially everything in the world in it. Pork in all its iterations. Bacon, sausage, pig's feet, etc., as well as chicken, chickpeas, cabbage, carrots, beans, onions, and garlic, of course. Essentially, as I said, everything in the world in it except sea scallops and candy corn. That's one definition. Another definition is that olio is what comes in between acts of a melodrama. So you might have somebody juggling, you might have somebody singing, you might have somebody acting a skit, and none of it has anything to do with anything else, and certainly none of it has anything to do with the melodrama. So in other words, it's apples, oranges, and a monkey wrench. So welcome to my monkey wrench. So, my guest today is a guy I wanted to have on for months, even years. He was my guest 20 years ago, but we didn't talk about what I want to talk about now. This is Darren Ross. Thank you, Darren, for joining me.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And before I go any further, his email, if you want to know more about what he's going to be talking about, rossierran@gmail.com. Ross Sierran, because he's a Sierra kind of guy, at Gmail. He also is behind the Facebook page.
Yep.
Okay. Facebook, Annual Fall Auburn Area Turkey Vulture Migration. Long. Annual Fall Auburn Area Turkey Vulture Migration. And you can go on to Sierra Foothills AudubonSociety.org. Audubon is ADUBON. I have it misspelled here, but it's ADUBON Society.org. Look for activities and then look for news and announcements, and you'll find information about the the turkey vulture migration.
Yes.
It's coming up at the end of this month. This is it's October, it's September 2023. Yes, 2023. And it starts when?
Well, they're starting now. Actually, the vultures have begun to migrate in August, and but the peak where we see.
Look at his face. Look, are you looking at his face? He's so excited. Wow.
The peak. Yes, I do get excited about it. It's we see thousands of vultures come through in a very short amount of time.
Thousands.
Our biggest day. Well, let me go back. So it begins in August, and it builds up until the end of September and early October.
Okay.
That's where the peak numbers come through.
Yeah.
And then it kind of tapers off through October and into November. So we get out there in the 2 weeks of the prime.
Observers get out there.
Yeah, observers.
And you are a major league observer.
I'm known as the chief vulture wrangler. And everybody else is a vulture wrangler.
Yeah.
Kids are buzzard busters.
Okay.
And I think that's about it.
Okay. But where do you go?
We meet at Overlook Park.
Which is in South Auburn.
In South Auburn.
Yeah.
There's a little hill or knoll just above the parking lot.
Headquarter Hill.
Yeah.
Overlook Park on Pacific Avenue.
Yeah. You can park right inside the Overlook Park and just walk up the hill, and we hang out there in the morning from 9 to noon for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. And it's just for local folks that like to get together and witness the migration.
Okay. Again, that's Headquarter Hill at Overlook Park on Pacific Avenue, which is off
Right behind the fairgrounds.
Yeah, okay.
Right behind the fairgrounds and near Railhead Park.
Okay. I would like to tell you a story. 2 stories. I live in Meadow Vista, and we have a dead tree across the street from us. And periodically, well, rather often, we see 2 vultures up there. We have named them Tim and Sally Throckmorton. And they're there in the morning, sitting in the sun. And this is basic, isn't it?
That's it.
I don't know if you can see my right arm, but you can see my left arm. And they're there.
That's perfect.
And we sit in the back, and the trees are there, but in the sunlight, and they are above the trees and below the sun, and we see their shadows moving around and moving around. That's one thing. I used to belong to a gym at DeWitt Center, and this must have been in the fall, because I remember wearing my shoes rather than my sandals, and a coat. And I looked up, and I saw 4 or 5, and then 7, and then 10, and then they kept coming. They kept coming, and eventually, in 5 minutes, there were 80.
Yeah.
And
that must have been.
And I stood there in the parking lot, looking up, gosh, and there were all these people coming to go to the gym, and nobody looked up.
Nobody. Yeah, it's very rarely observed. I should say, because they're often high and they silent, and and they move through it fairly quickly. Unless you're looking up, which most of us aren't.
Yeah, we're walking, looking, and we've got stuff to do.
We're in our cars, and I'm a birder. I missed it for most of my younger life. I didn't know they were migrating over. I was looking at birds in the trees and the bushes and down in the water, until one day, while working at the Placer County Water Agency, at one of the water treatment plants in the fall, I was outside doing my rounds, and nice beautiful fall day, and I look up and I see some vultures coming towards me.
You thought, oh my God, what are they thinking? I'm not that old.
They're kind of going in a straight line too.
Okay.
You know? They're not like our local resident vultures that circle looking for food. These were going somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I stood there, and they kept coming, and they kept coming.
Following each other.
All going south.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just amazed. I was just shocked that there were that many vultures going somewhere. Where are they going? So in the following years, I made sure I was outside working around the water plant in the fall, and looking to the sky. And I did. I was up in Christian Valley at the water treatment plant up there. Same thing happened, but they flew really low over the water treatment plant.
Really low.
Right over, just hundreds of them.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I was just running around, yelling at the maintenance guys working on the equipment. Look! They're going, what is wrong with him?
Look up! Wow. And so that's how you got interested in the turkey vultures.
Yeah, it was through the migration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why are they called turkey vultures? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, they look. The red head looks similar to a turkey, and they're brown, so they resemble
a turkey.
A turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they? But they're not as bulbous.
No.
Of course. Yeah. I was thinking about the women. Female wild turkeys, but they're not as bulbous as
the hens are thinner, more like a turkey vulture. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know a couple of things about them. One is that they don't eat live creatures. They don't kill them, do they? They find them.
Very rarely do turkey vultures eat live creatures or animals. Black vultures do, but turkey vultures generally do not. The exception might be like a worm.
Okay.
Or something when they're down puddling in the water getting some drink. They might.
A fish.
A worm or a bug or something like that, a fly.
Okay.
They'll probably eat a fly.
Sure.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the easy part. The even easier part is finding something dead alongside the road or.
Yeah, it's not so easy actually.
Okay.
It's not like a normal bird can just go grab a berry somewhere.
Sure.
Or go catch an insect anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's to find carrion or dead animals. It takes some work. You got to cover a lot of territory.
Okay.
You have to have a good
nose.
olfactory.
Yeah.
And they can smell up to a mile.
Wow.
Probably further than that.
Yeah.
But they're pretty sure they can smell up to a mile away. And then they also key off of the other vultures in the sky. So if they see a mile away,
Somebody's
a
over
group
there,
of circling.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm coming. Hey, buddy, save some for me.
Yeah, that's it. So it takes some work, but they're designed, physically designed for that type of feeding, in that they use very little energy. They can just float.
Float on the air. Okay.
Yeah, float on the air.
Yeah.
They don't expend a lot of energy.
Yeah, when I see them flying, they're not flapping their wings. They're just up there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they have to, because they have to save energy. Is very important to turkey vulture, saving energy, because it's, again, they just can't go eat anywhere.
Right.
There's just there aren't roadside cafes everywhere. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But they're masters at it. They do very well. They communicate. They roost communally at night, so they share information that way.
What sorts of places do they? In trees?
Yeah, mainly trees, and up in your neck of the woods in Meta Vista is a prime location during the migration. It's good year round, but it's also very good during the migration, because a lot of the migrants tend to stop over at the locals' place, the locals' roost, where the resident birds are. And yet there's a lot of there's a roosts up in Meta Vista. We've got regular roosting up there in the wintertime.
Okay.
And when the migrants come through, they stop in there and
Hiya.
And if they need food, they can eat.
Yeah.
But generally they don't eat during migration. Yeah.
So, okay, now, where does the migration start and where does it end?
Yeah, good question. Before I ramble on, they start these western.
Oh, I want you to ramble. But okay, let's start rambling about the migration.
The migration begins up in British Columbia, southern Canada, and the vultures there and in Washington and Oregon and part of Northern California will migrate south. And they'll go as far as southern Mexico.
Wow.
And those are the ones we see.
That's to get away from the cold in southern British Columbia.
Yeah.
And go down to where it's warm and where they're bound to find more food.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So they kind of skip over the birds down here. Our vultures are considered resident.
These are the black vultures?
The turkey vultures.
So we have turkey vultures who are residents, who don't leave.
Yeah.
But there are others who are visiting as they go south. Okay.
Yeah. So the birds up north kind of skip over the top of the birds in Central California and Southern California.
All right.
And continue south. And then they go all the way into southern Mexico.
Yeah.
Down just south of Acapulco. And some and some will go as far as Central America. Some of the vultures that migrate further west, or I should say east, down through the middle of the country, Rocky Mountain area, will go as far as South America.
Wow.
They kind of get caught up down near Veracruz, Mexico, with millions of migrating raptors and vultures. And they kind of get caught up in that and then just head south into probably northern South America.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about a 3,000 to 4,000 mile journey.
Wow.
One way.
Yeah.
Every year they do.
Yes.
So they're doing 6,000 to 8,000 miles.
Wow.
In a year.
And they don't have to flap their wings. They just go on the wind, go on the air. And
Yeah. They can go miles without flapping.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Now, when you first saw all these guys up in the air, and you said, "Hey guys, look!" And people, what is the matter with him? That's the impression you gave me. That nobody could understand why you were so excited.
I just tell them I was out on UFO watch. And that usually gets there. If I say turkey vulture, UFO watch.
Okay, oh really? Well,
That's
okay, and so you go bring somebody out for the UFO watch, and well, we didn't see any UFOs, but there were lots of vultures.
There we go. That's how I do it.
Wow,
That's my trick.
Okay. But I assume that when you are out there on at Overlook Park on Pacific Avenue, off of Pacific Avenue, you're not by yourself.
No. Yeah, we have a group of what we call the Vulture Wranglers, of maybe 10 to 15 people that come and go.
Are they different people?
Yeah. Oh no, those are
The same.
fairly regular.
So only 15 people, only 15 regular. Well, gosh. Why don't you join me? Come join me, because I haven't been out there.
But yeah, I know you need to come up on the hill. You bring a chair.
Yes.
It's very relaxed. We have scopes set up. We all have binoculars. We're looking east. We're looking west. We're looking north, because they'll come out of different directions. And we can do it from our chair, or we can do it standing. And then
and they fly over. You have a hat,
yes.
which it says turkey vulture on it. Is it recommended to wear a hat so you don't get
Yes. It's
pooped on?
there is a large, beautiful old blue oak tree up there. Really a nice tree that we all gather around. But if you're outside of the shade of the tree, it's possible. It's beaten down. Yeah, so you do want to wear.
It's beaten down.
Beating down.
Really?
The sun is beating down.
Oh, the sun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But they don't. Do they poop as they're flying?
I think I've probably only seen a vulture poop once or twice.
Okay.
In migration.
All right.
I've seen locals.
Sure.
Defecate, but only once or twice in migration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, we're not getting bombed.
That's a relief.
We're not getting buzzard bombed.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of poop, we were up in Oregon, and we had my husband and I were up in Oregon, and we learned about birds in that area, and they had some birds that had been hurt, and among them was a turkey vulture. And we learned all sorts of things about this turkey vulture, this handsome fellow. But we didn't learn what I thought the kids around there should learn. There were lots of children, and we didn't learn what I discovered, that I should be embarrassed, but I'm not. Apparently, if they're eating and they get and somebody or some creature interrupts them, well, okay, they defecate and leave.
Yeah.
And or they throw up.
Yes.
And they leave. For one thing, I guess that
works.
makes them lighter.
True. That's true.
But I can imagine that if children know that information, depending on their age, they would be really fascinated.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm of a certain age, and I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it is. They do. They'll regurgitate
Yeah.
as a defense if they feel threatened, or they'll defecate.
Yeah.
They also defecate to cool their legs.
Oh, I love that.
Kind of a thermoregulation.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. That's the main reason they defecate. That's when you see a turkey. Their turkey vulture legs are normally pink, but they're often
Sometimes.
white,
Oh my.
and that's from the dried
Okay.
uric acid.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's also kind of an antibacterial.
Because who's going to
Substance.
attack you if
Keeps the bacteria.
what
Well,
kind of creature is going to attack you?
Yeah. I have once been in a turkey vulture nest cave. Since we're on the subject of regurgitation,
Okay. Where was this?
this was in the quarry, the by Hopper Cave,
Okay.
the cool quarry
Yes.
over there, the limestone quarry. There's probably 3 or 4 turkey vulture nests in the quarry.
Oh my.
Some are under boulders, just kind of below a big boulder. Some are in the brush. This pair nest in a large cave, and I was curious, and I said, I have to go in there and see what's in there. So I crawled into that cave, and it smelled horrible.
How exciting!
I did not stay long. I said, okay, I've done this.
Okay. But nobody was in
Never
there.
going to do that again. There were at times when I peeked my head in there, birds in there. They're young birds, and they're big and white and fluffy. And they look, when you look down in a dark hole and you see these big white fluffy
These would be vultures
young vultures
that are white when they're young.
when they're young.
Oh.
Yep, they have that down,
Okay.
and they look like kind of ghosts down in the cave. And then they hiss.
Good for them.
Yeah, they hiss.
Good for them.
It's that's most kids would say. It's cool.
And like, "Shh," or
Yeah.
which one? Or,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, so
Oh my.
they're fun. They're fun. They have some fun, interesting ways about them.
Yes.
I just go ahead. Yeah.
You do what?
Well, you were mentioning the way they fly and they float on the air. I had a gentleman up to the Vulture watch site one year tell me why that is, that they can do that so well. And he says it's because of their diet. And I said, oh, really? And he says, yeah. He said they get a certain mineral from the soil, from animals, actually, from carrion. It's called upsidasium.
Okay.
And upsidasium makes you float.
Oh, that's silly.
And that was the funniest thing I had ever heard. I said, how do they do that? Upsidasium in the diet. If they're not getting very high, you see them flying low.
They're not eating
enough
enough.
upsidasium.
My goodness.
Oh, I forgot all about that till you reminded me.
Oh, this is really funny. If you don't remember who my guest is, this is Darren Ross, ROSSIERRAN @gmail.com. That's his, of course, email. And if you want to learn more, go on to Facebook, Annual Fall Auburn Area Turkey Vulture Migration. It's a fascinating thing. There's lots there, and always you're adding more. and there's a website with information about these when people do this. Sierra Foothills Audubon, AUDUBON Society.org. Hit activities, and then you'll get on to news and announcements where you click and you'll find information about the vultures. So you're saying that it's not just, so there are vultures, the umbrella, there's an umbrella of vultures, and some of them are turkey vultures and some of them are black vultures.
We don't have black vultures.
Okay.
Southern California may have a few, in Arizona and Mexico. They're mainly a southern U.S.
Okay.
Southern, southeastern U.S. species.
Okay. And if they're black vultures, they don't have a red head.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, now that you brought that up,
me too.
Occasionally, one of them gets pulled in with the turkey vultures in migration.
Okay.
They get lost, and they just follow the turkey vultures.
Okay.
And so we are often looking for a black vulture in our migrating turkey vultures.
Okay.
It'd be a rarity, but it does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Now, would that mean that they can't have babies or make babies?
Probably not. There may be hybrids out there, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that happens very often. Yeah, so that year would be a year without family.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's those guys. The single guy who does that is thinking, "Oh, nobody talks to me. I'm going to try this one."
Yeah. They usually show up on the coast. Every now and then, I'll see a report of a black vulture on the coast, in with the turkey vultures migrating, but pretty rare. Pretty rare.
Now I have another question. Do people ever look at you and say, vultures? What? Why?
Yeah, all the time.
And what's the answer?
Oh, what's the answer? Vultures. They're super cool. Let me tell you about them, and I'll share what I know about them and how the reason they're so beneficial. I mean, that's one of the great things about turkey vultures. Perhaps the greatest thing about them is that they are part of the community, part of the janitorial service on our roadways.
Okay, yeah.
They eat all the dead, not all, but a lot of the dead animals along the roads.
Right.
And that's one reason why they're doing so well. Now, 100 years ago, when we wiped out a lot of the large mammals, buffalo, vultures declined. We built the roadway system, a lot of dead carrion, more vultures.
Yeah. We had a dead deer, I believe, on the road to my house, and periodically, every day there was less of that dead deer. Mm-hmm. And I remember passing at least 2 vultures, and perfectly happy, perfectly content.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that too is they don't particularly like rotten meat. Actually,
so they eat it as quickly as they can.
They eat it. They like it fresh.
Yeah.
So I would say within 24 hours, preferably.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Medium rare.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been talking to Darren Ross and learning a lot about turkey vultures. Darren, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Oh, good. I've had a good time too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.